The Oregon State Senate is currently debating a bill, Senate Bill 1557. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. I would be a little concerned if you guys just memorize the numbers of bills. So, essentially what that bill outlines is, I'm just going to read this verbatim. It provides that the definition of abuse does not include the refusal to vaccinate children or decision to delay vaccination of a child. What is the role of government in the vaccination of children, and what is the role of healthcare providers in the vaccination of children? I'll lob this one to Republicans first.
Oh, that is a lot. I don't want to say it, but I think people should be able to choose what they want for their kids. I personally think it's extremely irresponsible to not get your children vaccinated. And I am definitely for removing them from public schools, but I can't say wholeheartedly I support requiring vaccinations for just in general. I think that's kind of up to parents. I don't think there's anything wrong with them, and I think people who don't get them are crazy, but it's America, you have the right to be crazy.
Democrats.
This message brought to you by the Florida Republican Party. So I do think that speaks a little bit to, I appreciate that you at least have an ideologically consistent position on that. You don't think that government should be involved in much. I appreciate that at least. But on this side, I think that we do agree that government does have a place in kind of regulating public health. And a lot of the times I think one of the best things is to kind of default to the science. And I believe the vast majority of scientists believe that vaccinations are a positive. Everybody should get them. And so we do believe that everybody should vaccinate their children. It shouldn't really be a question. It's almost a form of child abuse to not vaccinate your children when you know what these outcomes are. We have science, we have research that shows what the outcomes are.
General question for both parties. What I gather is the Republican Party believes that in limiting others from breaking the social contract of causing harm to them and to their family by keeping guns in the household, can the same rationale be provided for mandatory vaccinations for all, which limit damage to one's own family, irregardless of religious affiliation?
So you wanna? Can you say that question? I love the question. But for me, I like to sort of. Can you say it in a little simpler way, because we have to answer it in a short amount.
So basically, the same rationale that's provided for pro-gun rights. So basically, limiting the breaking of the social contract from person to person by causing another person harm.
Okay.
So can the same rationale be provided to mandatory vaccinations for all children, irregardless of religious affiliation and their stances on that, because they're causing harm to one's own family?
I think for this, you have to go back to what is, because the Republican Party, I know it depends what Republican you're talking to, but for the vast majority of Republicans look to the Constitution, right? And so we're going to look at and the Constitution say, well, you have the right to express your freedom of religion, right? So if your religion says that you can't get vaccinations, then that is part of like what's ingrained. If that was, like, say we made an amendment saying like, oh, everyone has to get vaccinated. Well, now that's part of the Constitution. If you don't like that, now you have to leave the country. And that's enshrined in the First Amendment, and then in sort of like our First Amendment, sort of freedom of speech and freedom of religion. So I think that's the part that you have to look at is if we want to change it, we can, but everyone has to agree as a collective good that that's what we want for everyone.
But if people have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, is giving a kid or not giving a kid a vaccination that could save their life, is that robbing them of future life and future endeavors?
Would you give them that vaccination rob them of their right to pursuit of happiness through religion?
And I want to add to
that.
I want to add to that. Like, it's not like we're looking at like the Constitution, right? So people right. So
I didn't hear that.
So we're looking at when you look at the Republicans' constitutional stance on this, they're looking at basically the First Amendment, right? So, and people have their freedom of religion, basically they can do whatever they want to do as long as I'm not going to kill you, right? And so if you're doing that and forcing them to do something that's not on their religion, you're basically going against their constitutional right. If you want to change that, you can change that. But that's Republican stance on that issue. Okay. So it's a constitutional issue. It is not a sort of social contract issue.
Right. Let's move to the Democrats.
So I do believe that I didn't interject when Ross said, but I actually do think that the mandatory vaccination should also apply to people who have religious beliefs that might be counteracting that. Just because, like, I mean, like, this is an extreme example, but a religious person can't, like, perform a human sacrifice because it's part of their religion, and, like, obviously that's a very extreme example, but we do draw a line, and I do think that line...
They can do animal sacrifice, though, by the way.
Oh, maybe they can, but people kill animals. That's a different thing.
So what, I perform animal sacrifice for my lunch sometimes.
But so regardless of your opinions on that, with people we do draw a line, and so I think that you can move that line to not vaccinating children. I think that that does cross a line for a lot of people where there's a lot of damage done not by vaccinating children, and so I think that that does get into a little bit what you're talking about protecting life. I think that it is the government's role to step in there.
We have time for one more question. Do I see a hand in the back?
Awesome.
Gentleman in the back.
Please, no subsonic ammo.
You're not going to ask us about subsonic hellfire, are you?
So, for mandatory vaccinations, while I know it's a vast minority, some people do react poorly. Like, I know someone personally who, I can't remember it, but how, like, he can't ever get vaccinations ever again because it could, like, kill him. So, like, would there be compensation of some sort? And that would, like, what exactly would the government owe that person after hurting them, essentially, if it's mandatory?
So,
I can take this one.
yeah, go for it.
Cool. Like I said, there are individuals who are immunocompromised, and that is a huge problem. And also, just to go back to the last question, I will say personally, religious exemptions are literally the only exemption I'm personally okay with for vaccinations.
And health.
Yes, but, yes, and it will kill me if I get it. I'm not a big fan of, but I think there should be likely some form of compensation in the event that you have, I mean, if you have been injured by this procedure, by all means, sue, I mean, probably the health insurance company, depending on what the realistically what the issue was. If it was,
Which would be the government.
yeah. So sue the government. Fuck it.
I feel like
Sue the government.
one form of compensation that we do unquestionably support is that we do believe if that person does have a negative health outcome, their health care should be covered because we believe in a single payer system.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Can we have a big round of applause for our